why don't we get started? I'd like to call the meeting to order on Thursday, January 11th, 2018. Happy New Year, everybody. Introduction of the board. I'm John Miller, Chairman of the board.
Gordon Price, Vice Chair.
Leslie James, board member.
Joan Powell, liaison for South Shore Elderly Services.
Carol King, liaison for Friends of Scituate Seniors.
Lucille Sorrentino, board member.
Henry Yang, board member.
Caitlin Coyle, board member.
Jane Schwartz, the board member.
Janice Desmond, board member.
Lisa Thornton, the Council on Aging staff.
Linda Hayes, Director of the Council on Aging Senior Center.
Lisa, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So we do not have a formal written December minutes because we missed, right? So we don't have to review and approve.
We will have double next month.
Okay.
Trying to do that.
Well, given that, can we hand over to the director for the director report?
Everybody have their packets? Okay. So my report, I pulled out a few highlights, and for some reason I thought it'd be nice for you all to know. So Jill, our administrative assistant here, she does quite a lot for us, of course. But some time ago, at least a year ago, if not more, she got trained. We had to get trained. She wanted to do it, and it was a nice idea in something called laughter yoga, which she's been trying to do it at least once a month for us, and that was even back when we had the St. Luke's space. Not a very friendly space for that sort of thing. So we just haven't had that, and it really hasn't taken off for us necessarily, even though it's a lovely activity. So Norwell VNA knew she could do that, and they had her in December come and do it with their cancer support group. And they really loved it, and so they've asked her to continue to come every other month to do that with them, which I'm happy to let her, and she's happy to do it, and it's a nice,
That's
it's
great.
a nice thing for us.
Yeah.
I thought you might like to know that.
Yeah.
I think a highlight was our Christmas luncheon last month, which really did go well, was fun, was well attended. The food was great from Tinker's Son. We have a new phone system, which has been a little challenging. How many of you have called?
I am.
Did you get what you wanted to get?
I was awfully surprised when somebody else picked up the phone,
Okay.
like a recorded,
Oh.
right?
Storm Grayson, of course, took over for a week, and our neighbors have been doing some good things. So anyway, Senior Center site location progress or update is just that. In fact, as of today, we have 8 submissions for the OPM, the Owner's Project Manager, which going to the Public Building Commission next week on Tuesday night. I forget how many of them there are. JD and I will be able to attend, as and anyone else can be there. It's a public meeting. And then from those 8, which will be reviewed, they will select who to interview the week of January 22nd is the schedule they're giving us. So that's pretty fast work so far.
Yeah, so we closed out the application submittals today.
Right.
And we're gonna try and zero down,
Yep.
whittle some down next week.
And our new boss, delivered them today, so he got the tour, Senior Center today. Mr. Boudreau, our new town manager, so came and saw.
Good.
That was nice of him. Otherwise, we had to update our annual health department certification for the kitchen, which is just paperwork, but we have all our certification, which is good. I met with Bill regarding the phone system even in December before it was installed. Thought we sort of understood what we needed here, but then with the installation it didn't go quite as easily, and maybe we wanted more than they think we wanted, but I think for the cost of the system and by today's standards, we should be able to get what we need. So we've kind of gone back and forth between an automated attendant, which sounds great, except that I still would like to take advantage of volunteers at the front desk, because we want them. And we want someone to be able to get a voice.
Right.
But then once I said we wanted the front desk to answer, it seemed that we couldn't have the auto attendant, or at least weren't really talking the same language exactly. So we tried that for a week, but that was not good. Because we couldn't hear the phone ringing anymore, but what we really disliked about our old phone system was that every phone rang.
Right.
And you didn't know who was going to answer. We just wait for 2 rings and somebody would get it first, and most of us would pick it up. But anyway, so we're back to the auto attendant, but the first line in the greeting is, if you have a general question, please press 0 and speak to our front desk. And then otherwise, they can be directed to one of the staff. I think we'll add to that a little bit too, but if you have called in, unfortunately, if the front desk then isn't manned and they call there, it goes to another voice message, which I think I meant to check before tonight, just to maybe update that and make that a little bit better.
So can I interrupt to say,
Mm-hmm.
so if the auto attendant is on, you guys don't hear the phones ring?
The auto attendant, right, it doesn't ring, it just picks up.
Okay.
So the first ring is either them choosing to go to the front desk or to one of us. One of our phones. So, and caller ID from the outside isn't working yet, which was also one of our, main requests. So it's pending, it's coming, it's something they have to figure out how to turn on for.
Okay.
So I think we'll be fine, it's just been a little bit more challenging than we expected. Use of the Gates, Old Gates School, which we are doing for one class, but it does require, I have had some orientation. They do have a stair lift in there that I was shown how to use by our recreation people, because they've had to be aware of it, and they have recreation things going on at the gymnasium. Facilities is working very hard trying to make the building available to recreation the way it should be. It has to be up to a certain standard, which is not easy and has not been easy. So it happens to have been me lately, but one of us has to get to the safety complex, which is 3.8 miles away, at least. And pick up a key, go to Gates, open the door mechanically. That's how we do it. And then go back an hour later and close it out. Which, we had been doing at the community building as well. We've made that a little bit easier by giving the instructors keys, because we just couldn't keep that up. But even still, sometimes there's management there that needs to take place. Our last seniorities taping was with Executive Director Frank Gay of GATRA, and that happened just after our last meeting in December on the 15th, which went well. I don't know if anyone saw it, but I think it was okay. Did anybody see it? Okay. Did you watch it?
I was there.
I know, I was there too. I didn't watch it either. Somebody watch it. Okay, so we're due for the fire chief on emergency, funny enough, emergency preparedness or management, but that was canceled, needless to say.
Last Friday,
From
because
last
of
Friday.
Thursday.
Although it would have been timely, but they were still a little busy, as they have continued to be, in fact. So we will get him, I think it's going to have to be next week at this point, if not this week. So, and actually the town manager did offer to come onto the show,
Good.
which is very nice, and I also thought maybe it'd be nice to have him here, that everybody might like to meet him at a board meeting, so he agreed to that too. I don't know if you know we do this, I just threw it in there because it happened to go well, but we generally get called at the last minute to have any one of our drivers randomly selected to go for a drug test. But it's been a hard process, even though it's mandatory, it's regulated, and it's in the contract that we have to do this. But generally, we might have one driver of our 3 or 4 on, or maybe we have 2. But how do you pull them sort of early enough to go get that drug test, because they're supposed to show up within really a half an hour. We had both of the ones, one was on and one wasn't, but I still got a hold of him, and he was still agreeable to go to do that, which they both did, which was nice. So we actually were in compliance for a change, because sometimes we can't do it, and we just haven't been able to.
Where do they go for?
So if they're early enough, they go to town hall, to the selectmen's room. If they're not, it then moves to the superintendent's office, which for a while was at the Jacob Hatch building, but now is back at the high school where the recreation department used to be. And that was a trick, because we didn't really know where they were. So that's how it has to work. So we got them there. I just thought that might be interesting for you to know. There's a lot of things that the drivers do have to do for us. I've been involved, it's interesting, in this climate change action plan that's spearheaded by our coastal resource officer, who's wonderful, Nancy Durfee, and it's with MAPC, which is the Metropolitan Area Planning Agency. So she's very bright and really has this going, so some of the other departments are included, just to, for Scituate, environmentally friendly Scituate. Funny enough, as we have our own initiative on the horizon, they're doing something that they hope makes it a little bit better, safer, more efficient for the town. The senior tax work-off program, I have right now 23 applicants or candidates.
It's getting better.
I
getting
know,
better.
and it may not end, to the point that last year, or the last couple of years, I didn't really put an end to it. If somebody sort of came and it was before June, or somebody else had a need and I could put somebody in, I'd do it in June, or July, or whatever it might be, but I have so many right now who aren't placed, and I'm seeking other spots for them, and as it stands now, we're trying to work 3, if not 4 of them into even the Council on Aging, which is fine, it's just more to manage, and we need a place for them, a job for them to do. So I did put out an email to those departments not yet participating, and hope I'll get some more jobs for them. So, but it's a bit time consuming, but it's great. We have a new time entry system as well, which I think is actually going fine, and it's easier than maybe we thought it would be, because I used to do it manually and send in the payroll, but now each individual staff person, all personnel put in their own time electronically online, which even our drivers have been doing from home, so that's good. So, pre-storm, I think I had an emergency preparedness meeting before we had an inkling of the storm, and then the storm came, and then that was the day before there was a big meeting, and honestly, they knew what they might have to contend with, and they did a great job. I really didn't become essential personnel myself, even though I came in and I tried to be, but they didn't really need me at the shelter, which started with 3 people, went to 7, and I think by, that evening, or maybe overnight, they might have had 15 people at the shelter. And most of that was just for power outages, I believe. But we had transported, actually using our van and one of the fire department personnel, 3 people, 1 in a wheelchair. So we got those people there early. And we did deliver sand buckets the night before, which was great. And there was one sand bucket one name I didn't get to. The kids had come, and I thought they had enough to do, and then I thought I'd be able to get 2 out, or 3, which I did. But I ended up with 1 in my car. And can I just say that the night of the storm, I needed that sand bucket. It was awesome. I got stuck in my driveway. I needed dirt. It was great. So anyway, my apologies to the person I didn't deliver to. Some of the stuff I might have even mentioned last month because it was early enough in December, but the Connect program, I'm working on trying to schedule that, and of course that got canceled too because of the storm, so we were just right there ready with the 12 people I have ready to start with the 2 sessions of training. So getting the trainer
iPad
available and the iPad training worked out together. So unfortunately now it's a little longer than I want it to be, but now it's on the 19th of January, and then again 2 weeks later, which is a little bit of a longer gap than I wanted, but 2 Fridays. Following that, it'll be the 6 to 8 weeks with the Interact Club students, which I'm going to attend that meeting on Wednesday and get them signed up to and match.
This next Wednesday?
Mhm. Yep, that's that. Pickleball coordinator now because Betty Johnson has gone to Florida, so Tom Edwards has stepped in, and everybody actually helps set up and break down and do whatever needs to be done, but Tom is more or less the lead coordinator, volunteer coordinator for us for that, which is great. And he's always done, or had always done, the badminton, so it's perfect that he's willing to do that. I did speak Tuesday night to the Scituate Education Foundation because I sort of wanted an update on the grant, but wanted to know a little bit about the senior center in 5 minutes. You want to take any bets on? Do you think I talked for 5 minutes? I thought, anyway, I was trying to talk fast. Probably 20 minutes, anyway. They did shut me down. But I did think it was an opportunity, and it was very nice of them and gracious. So I just tried to talk a little bit of overall overview about what we do and how many great programs and some of the numbers and whatnot. So hopefully they were interested. And otherwise, I would like to schedule a parade float planning meeting, and I think next week I'm going to email a few people I know who said they might be interested in helping, if any of you are, either next Wednesday or Thursday at 3:30 or 4, late in the afternoon. So if anyone wants to tell me afterwards if they're interested and if they could make one of those days, that would be great. And then I think good news, I hope, last year, of course, we did that evening of Irish music at the River Club. And I spoke with the River Club owner again, and she's very interested and willing to do that. So we've already secured it for March 9th, which is the same weekend, the Friday night. And then I spoke to the musician that we had used last year too, and they are happy to do it as well. So I think that's a go. The River Club, again, graciously wants to donate the venue and do the food, which was awesome.
Which is
So
great.
she really
Yeah.
doesn't want the ticket
Yeah.
prices to be much more than
She
they
really
were. We do
opens
this
the
time
doors.
have to pay the musicians more than we did last time because we have the cultural council grant, so we just have to work that out. So to be determined, I'm not sure what to do about the ticket price yet. Keeping it low, but wondering if she minds if we make a little money on it, it would be nice. Because it helps, every little bit does help us. So, that's great. So, also, I do have the dates for the Public Building Commission meetings for everybody, if you'd like to take one. I won't pass it around now, but I have those to pass around. And, you have the.
Basically, once a month.
It is
on
basically.
a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
The off Tuesday night from the select meeting,
Mhm. Okay,
every other Tuesday, or, yeah,
I didn't plot them, but, yeah.
pretty sure that's what it is.
Not too many. So Jean's report, which Jean has actually been on vacation in Florida. Hopefully she made it out because she was supposed to be flying out Friday morning at 6, and I'm sure she didn't, but. So our number looks really much lower than November for December in terms of rides, which I think December naturally is a lighter month. We ourselves noticed some things we had to cancel and didn't maybe have the sign-ups for, so we did do some trips, which Lisa can talk about. And of course, Jean has some of these, in fact, it's the first time I had to do it, so I was looking at that, but, you know, whether they're out-of-town trips using our van, we've been doing something to Duxbury, which is just a nice little trip, or some other local ones, in addition to our regular van trips. And then the larger ones, which, you know, take us a little bit further and are a whole day. So it's hard to say why, but the out-of-town medical, you know.
Yeah, that's the big number.
That never goes way down, but it's still 104, but instead of 169, it's certainly a big difference for December.
Yeah.
Fewer hospital and doctor's appointments, I guess. That covers, which she doesn't include, and maybe she should, but that's 77 riders at least accounted for in terms of what she puts into the transportation end of the system. And we don't always do that when we have people sign up for activity trips, you know what I mean? That's a different side of the system. Jenny's report on her, she did give me some other numbers, but, okay. So she's got the number of services as 84. So that's the number of interactions she's made, whether it's the 37 clients she may have helped in a number of ways, or met with a number of times, or spoke with on the phone, or had to collect paperwork and send the paperwork, or coordinate some sort of a visit. That's where the 84 number comes in. She's still visiting the housing authorities each month, and she usually does meet with the housing authority when she's there, the coordinator for them, and maybe checks in about any problems they might be having. And might take advantage of that time also to visit some of the clients that don't come out and she doesn't see otherwise, so. But I think that number is pretty, of course, the fuel assistance goes up, and I think she told me that was 9 new fuel assistant applicants of the 18 interactions that she actually had. So that's a lot of paperwork when we have new people. All right, and we're lucky enough to have Lisa here with us today, so I will let her give the highlights of her activities and her report.
Thank you. So we probably had 5 cafe talks scheduled for December, but 3 of which were moving to the spring. And I think mainly it was because the topics were just a little too serious and people were too busy, which I think we kind of took a gamble on because we had availability for the speaker to come in, and you know, we thought we'd put it out there. Sometimes it's just a tough time of year to opt in for something when you have to go shopping or
Right.
do other things. That
One of them was the
different.
Register of Deeds. I don't
Yeah,
know
the
who was
registry.
thinking
Yeah,
about
we've
that.
had him before. It's
Oh,
been
yeah.
in probably a good year and a half since he's been in, so he definitely wants to come back in the spring. So we'll put those back on the schedule, and I think we'll get some interest. But we did have some fun ones and some serious, or some interesting ones, I should say. We had a decorator come in, and Marie Fricker, author of All in My Head, How Hypochondriac Beat Brain Cancer, a book I've yet to read.
Which truly I thought was a Christmas story, because it was a good story, she delivered it well, she really spoke from the heart, it was really, she got a great sense of humor, it was really nice, and it's a happy ending, so. We did have people come for that.
I was not in that day. But I think it was over the last newsletter cycle, we did have 3 great cafe talks in November, and I thought having 2 in December is probably about a good average. And then, except we were talking about how the numbers kind of dropped off a little bit in December, which I think we tend to expect just because people's schedules are busy, they can participate in a little bit less. Maybe you just don't have time to quite get to that fitness class, even though we all need it. So you see a little bit of that. And then I think it just started getting cold towards the end, and then that week between Christmas and New Year's is quiet, which is a good recovery week for us here after a busy fall into winter stretch. But we did have some fun holiday highlights, which is great. We had 12 lucky members go to see the Newport Mansions, because that's what we could fit in the van. I'm sure if we could have run another van, we would have got some more takers. I happened to go myself, because they raved about it. I went on my own with some of my kids, and it was beautiful. So I'm glad that we coordinated that. We also took some seniors to a holiday concert in Duxbury at the South Shore Conservatory. They've been fantastic working with them, and they have these free concerts available. They just asked us to give them a number a day or 2 ahead. I guess they have light refreshments and a beautiful concert. The space is really nice, so that's been really popular. And then we had our holiday party on December 19th. As Linda said, we had some great food donated by Tinker's Son. That was, we got really lucky on that one. And I think 5 or maybe even 6 Christmas Yule logs. There were so many I couldn't count that were donated by the Welch Senior Living in the Allerton House with Carol Taylor and Linda Chuckman. So those were.
That was dessert.
That was dessert.
And we have one in the freezer.
But that was after the shepherd's pie and rolls and salad, and everyone seemed to be in a good mood that day. We had a lot of fun. We had named that tune that Linda Chuckman did, and gave away some fun giveaways and prizes, and then we had volunteers that made these beautiful votives, candles for in red and snowflakes that people could take home. So everyone went home with at least a gift, if not a giveaway gift. I had a couple children helped me out with getting the silverware all wrapped up for the event. It was a late start to school, and driving to work with me, my neighbor's kids, because she works for the school department as well and had to be there but couldn't take the late start. So I put them right to work. They worked for like the whole hour, and then they went to Jenkins. So it was
Good.
It's nice when little things like that happen, because I don't think they'd ever step foot in here. So, and then we had table centerpieces that were donated by Foss, some nice candles, battery candles, and pine cones. It was great. The place was very festive, and it turned out to be a nice day. And then our annual box tree making that was brought in by Scituate Garden Club was very well attended. I think we had at least 25 seniors come for that. And then we continued, and then just some of our short of new things from the fall. We continued our supper club. That was December was a little tricky. It was I think the coldest and windiest day that we've had going up to Derby Street, which was supposed to be dinner and shopping. So the shopping was kind of a bit short.
Right.
But they did say they had a nice dinner at the Rustic Kitchen, and popped into at least one store. And then some of our movies continued, a quilting group that just got started, a little bit of tech time, expressive writing, our lifelong learning. Book club took the month off, and our painting class kind of wrapped up partway through into December and took a few weeks off. And that will start up, I think, January 22nd. And some of actually the classroom, some of the students' artwork is actually on display here at the month. So, some of the students. And that's about it.
We still had 214 people taking part in activities for the month of December, which is actually quite good.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa, if you, I don't know if you mentioned it to me, but I'd be happy to offer my services for the Cafe Talk and Men's Breakfast Talk in South Africa.
Oh, didn't you mention it to me? You're right. You should do that.
You know, I think a lot of us have a real skewed idea of what South Africa is like. It really is a very fascinating country. And, you know, I'd be happy to do that if that, you know, if you have a spot that you want to fill in.
Slide presentation?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Plenty of pictures. I was just gonna like pictures now.
Yeah,
Pictures are gorgeous,
I
so.
could do a, you know, a slide presentation.
No, I'd love to do that. We did have a Greg Lassard in November. He's come every year for the last few years. His hobby is photography, and he's a band instructor in town, and it's always really popular to see, you know, his photography. So to see the slides and to learn about the culture and what's going on would be great.
Some of us probably won't get there, so that would be great.
Our main reason for going was to attend a tribal wedding, so that really was pretty cool. And most people are amazed to see what goes on in a tribal wedding. So it was, you know, I think, you know, some people, maybe 2 people would show up.
No.
But I'd be happy to offer to do
No, I'd
that.
love that. And probably also, anyone out there likes to travel and likes to take pictures of their trips, you know, I think that's always a great thing to bring in. You know, if you can't get there yourself,
Yeah.
it's nice to see someone else's.
Learn about it.
Yeah.
Good. Very good. Does
And
that-
I didn't actually jump over to the next page. Oh, okay, that's right, because I think the back was missing on mine. The back side. This was about the volunteers, which, I mean, I guess one point in December was, we had, I think, a lot of people on vacation, a lot of scheduling, conflicts, a lot of appointments, and kind of threw a call out by email to every one of our volunteers, any of our past volunteers, and I think we got every solitary shift covered here on the front desk. There's people that kind of help out here and there. We had actually a new woman start. She said, "Oh, I haven't done it before, but I'll come in," and she filled in the end of December, and she's.
And I think it was the day the phone wasn't ringing because the auto attendant was on. That's all right, no, she kept her busy.
She must have liked it because she said she would come back and volunteer on a regular basis. So it was great to have, they just replied and said, "I can cover this, I can cover this." So we had great coverage. And then we had volunteers help out for the holiday party in the kitchen, which is great.
Always looking for volunteers?
Oh, yeah, always. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then I can copy the back side of
No,
this and
you
give
could.
it to you. Do you have it?
No.
No,
My packet didn't have it.
I can make a copy.
No.
Okay, I have it.
Go ahead and go.
I can grab that for you, but I just finished out the numbers. Back in October, I had done kind of a look back to our numbers, so I filled in those last couple of November and December numbers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So we can
Yeah,
we
great.
can have a comprehensive look.
It appears Linda's gonna go make some quick copies, so.
So,
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Lisa on anything? Well, why don't we go to some quick updates? Obviously, Board of Selectmen John is not here. Joan Power, Social Elder Services.
All right. The meeting was held on January 2nd. They always start off with a big thing about the detailed financial report. And there's a lot of changes in the financial department in South Elderly. They've changed a lot of the positions, so they've been working on that. Another thing they did at Christmas time, they had, their workers had photos that it was a contest, and they got 96 entries from all the workers. And some of them are in Scituate, they're the Scituate Lighthouse. So it's all the workers are putting in somewhere on pictures of different things. A lot of them were like doing work with a little kid with an adult and that type of thing. So it was a big contest. So they got 96 entries. And they passed out, they showed us the winners, some of the winners. But they're all on Instagram. So if you go in, they're really great pictures. So if you go on Instagram for South Shore Elderly Services and photos, they all come up. So they're going to do that. They said it was very successful. And then what they also did was each department did a Christmas display. And they were like small displays, but they were all different. So that was a big contest. And they have them all set up at the South Shore Elderly office building. So that was, and they had winners for it. Then Al Norman has resigned his position as executive director of the Max Home Care, and there are many changes there, and they still do not have someone to take his place. They're going to have a legislative breakfast on February 2nd, and there has been a lot of changes with the with the different things in politics, and so they have many issues coming up and changes, so that's going to be a big meeting.
Sure.
And that's held at the neighborhood club in Quincy.
Okay.
When is that?
Feb. 2nd?
February 2nd. They don't have the details yet, but that's the date. And then Sandra attended the opening of the Braintree Council of Aging New Edition. And then they passed the paper around. 6 Massachusetts nursing homes closed.
Yeah, I saw that.
In assisted livings in Massachusetts. They're in Dedham and Needham, so they're not in this area. They had a total of 151 beds, but it could not be learned how many were occupied. They had 600 workers. They did find beds for all the people. Statewide, only 85% of nursing home beds are filled, with 6,600 vacancy, reflecting a growing trend towards aging at home, state officials said. And then there are many changes in the laws for nursing homes too. 2/3 of people in nursing homes is paid by Medicaid.
Yeah.
And then the board for the training for the board and advisory committee was very successful, and I had told you about this these was very good about the all the offices and what they do and what they're responsible for. So Linda made copies. So
This sort of staff structure.
and then also in the back.
It was the organizational.
It's good information.
She showed us last week, I just did front back. I have it.
And then the January community dinner at St. Luke's is on the 28th. It's going to be beef stew. Good time for that, salad, and then they're going to have brownies with ice cream with chocolate sauce.
Now, is that the St. Luke's volunteers that serve that night? Or
Yeah,
there
community
somebody
does,
else?
yeah. And I've left 2 flyers that you can put up on the desk. And that's it.
John, you may not know the answer to this, but is demand still pretty high for services from Suffolk Elderly Services?
Yeah. They're always having to get new workers,
Okay.
case workers and stuff.
Yeah.
And especially the South Shore Elderly Services had a lot of changes in the whole system. And that's why they come up with this, so that's the new system now.
But the chart, the org chart, the organizational chart, this one?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Joan? Carol King is new to report out on FOSS. Hi, Carol.
How are you?
Good.
We just had our monthly meeting this past Tuesday and discussed mostly upcoming events. Pam Davis said that she was going to talk to you about the parade and the Irish music thing, but
I did pass her today walking the dog. I was leaving, she was probably coming. That's great, yep. I had gone to their board meeting, I guess, a few weeks ago.
right at the end of
So I
December.
mentioned a few things maybe we could work together on.
Good.
So I'm just filling in for Betty, so.
Well, she's not coming back till what, March, I think?
April.
I
think
think it's
maybe.
more like April.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we need more help for Meals on Wheels because we have these snowbirds that have left.
That would have been, that are volunteers, oh,
And you know, the thing is, we can use volunteers in the kitchen. We don't.
They don't have to
They don't have to drive.
Right.
so what would they do?
The
in the
kitchen, what they
kitchen?
go in the kitchen is, we get there like 9:15, and we put the bags, like with the milk and the bread, and we have to put separate the bread in bags and stuff.
Okay.
And then we have to wait for the guy to deliver the meals, and then we pack the meals to go out.
So do you have one person hopefully coordinating in the kitchen?
Yeah, we have, she's paid, Sue.
But she's making lunch for the attendees on
No,
site.
she runs the whole site, so she has to be there when the stuff comes in. And a lot of times we have to wait for like the bananas or something like that, so that holds up the drivers, but that's what we have to do. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we have a lunch,
Right. But every day.
and that's at noon time, so usually, hopefully, everything's going out by then. Monday, he didn't come till 11:30, so that was a big problem. They're usually there by 10:30. Well, you know, that's
Increasing requests for Meals on Wheels in Scituate?
Pardon me?
Are the requests increasing for Meals on Wheels?
No, they're about the
Same?
same.
Okay.
They're about the same.
Um,
We have lost a lot of people this year.
Okay.
We're going into nursing homes or dying.
Yeah.
Carol, has there been any further discussion at FOSS about, there was some early on, a couple of meetings I attended, about maybe having an annual fundraising drive, where you actually do a mailing and solicit requests for funds, other than membership funds, I'm talking about, other than membership.
You're talking about the mailing?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, I don't think that was discussed at this meeting.
Okay.
It is something, I don't know whether it has to be through them, or it could be through the board, or just a general senior, I'm not sure. It would be good to investigate that and see if we could do that annual appeal, start it.
John Kalopoulos was a friend and a library trustee, along with Les Ball. They were very instrumental in helping to raise that $1.7 that they've raised so far. And I know John has offered to assist in efforts to put together some sort of a fundraising effort for the center, not on the scope of the library. I cautioned everyone about staying away from that.
That sounds really good.
Not committing to a number, but.
Maybe he'd like to come to
Yeah.
either a monthly meeting
I
or
will
a
speak-
board meeting.
Yeah, I'll speak with him and see
Yeah.
whether he would be willing to do that, sure.
That sounds good.
Yeah, okay. Or you can come and speak with us, or He's very generous with his time, he's a wonderful person.
Good. Well, why don't we move into subcommittee reports? I'm not sure who all met this past month. I can probably report out briefly on the advisory and planning committee because Gordon, Caitlin, Maud, and I met on Monday, right? I think we probably touched on a couple of things. One is, and Gordon just mentioned him, how we're maybe going to try to reach out into the community to ask for some assistance with a couple of people who bring some expertise in either fundraising or community contacts or advertising and PR, and begin to kind of loop them into our world. And then secondly, we discussed how to begin to build a steering committee for an application process for the Living Scituate, Age-Friendly Scituate campaign that we want to try and put together. So we sort of brainstormed some ideas and at least began to zero in on, or at least began to talk about a list of community hubs that might be interested or should maybe be approached and engaged, because it's a community-wide effort. Gordon, Caitlin, anything to add to any of that?
No, I mean, I think Maud and I are working on sort of taking some concrete steps towards getting, sort of prepared to approach people and have some conversations about the livable Scituate, age-friendly Scituate project. So we sort of felt like before we have too many conversations, we want to make sure we kind of have a message that we're conveying consistently.
The effort has, I think, huge spin-offs that would be extremely favorable to the efforts that we're trying to accomplish. But we're not, like Caitlin didn't mention it, but it's not specifically geared to making sure that we get a senior center built. It's the whole ball of wax of how the community can be an age-friendly community. And I had an example today. It was an individual from the Disabilities Commission in my office, and we got talking at length about what's going on. And like she was saying, I don't know if anyone has contacted Linda yet, but there's apparently a residential facility on First Parish Road that houses, I think, 6 or 8 people. And they would like to develop some interaction with other groups here in town so that it stimulates their residents. And, I think those are the kinds of opportunities that the age-friendly effort will bring out.
Yeah,
right.
And will be great, PR for us looking at it, kind of selfishly, but I think the overall effort is going to be hugely important to the community.
Norman, listen to me, Gordon. I know a family lives in Scituate, and I have a brother there. And this couple will help in any way. I mean, they've come to us and they've supported some things for the Rotary. So I think it would be really a good idea to get to know the family members or who's, get them involved too. Because they're looking for things for kids to do.
Yep.
So, something to think about.
So that was our summary meeting, I guess, and we're scheduled for end of the month on the 29th. So,
Is that at night as well?
yeah, it'll be one day at 6 o'clock.
I would like to be
I know,
able to
I
attend
know.
those meetings, but,
Did any other committees meet? Subcommittees?
We did not meet in December.
Okay.
We met whenever we met. Okay. We did meet early.
It would have been early December.
December 7th, yeah. But, and I think that we were deciding which way we were going with our group. I'm just noticing that you do have a couple of meetings for the float and for the Irish night. And I'm wondering if we should get into those meetings with you. Or the other thing I was thinking of was to prepare some kind of maybe slideshow or some kind of talking points just to start telling how important, how important the senior center will be, the numbers that you give us, the information that you gave us. So, that's, I'm throwing it out there because I don't know, do we want to?
Well, I'm happy to try to organize the meetings because I did start a slideshow, so I did that for the Education Foundation the other night. It could be certainly more, better, or different, but, and maybe start to plan where to target or who to target the different organizations that we'd like to connect with and talk to in the next 4 months, because we do need to do that even short term before the April town meeting. And then, of course, there'll be another,
So that piece you want us to just hold off?
No, we could.
Okay. And how about the fact, about those other 2 events that you're having? Since the dates are on the calendar, do you?
They're not on
do
the
you want
calendar.
us
I
to be
proposed next week to try to meet if people could on a parade float, because we need to generate some ideas and thoughts and maybe get some people who might know what to do. So Wednesday or Thursday, if anybody's interested,
Maybe
anybody,
we
it
get
doesn't
some
have to
people who
be.
might know what to do, yes.
That would be
Or like
great.
to do.
So
But
does,
I have, I have an idea, I just don't know how to get it to
does
them.
our events group want to dovetail
If your
your
group wants to
meeting?
dovetail that.
Sounds
I think maybe we should. Okay.
Okay.
So you'll give us
figure that
the
out.
exact date and
Okay.
time? Okay.
Which, this is the events.
If you schedule a meeting of the marketing, what do we call it?
Events and marketing.
Marketing events. Again, and you said our meeting the other night, you're Caitlin and JD. Tom Clark is another wealth resource in this town. I had a great half-hour conversation with him last night. And he is very, very willing
He'll help.
but it was interesting what he said. He said, I'd like to come and listen to what you people have to say. I need to know the lay of the land before I can give you my
Yeah.
ideas about what I think.
We don't want to turn it over to him and say, tell us what to do. We want
Exactly.
him to think.
So I
here
thought that
what
was
we're doing.
pretty neat that he
Yeah.
volunteered that.
That's
So
awesome.
Tom would be more than willing to help out
So
on these two.
I'm
things.
wondering out loud here if we should still start on developing a really very strong talking points to get ready to at least go out, tell some groups why we need it.
Well,
Should we hold off?
Maud and Caitlin are sort of working on that.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, that'd be great. Great, okay.
Yeah, and the senior center will be a component of what.
Right, it's sort of the livable, age-friendly framework is sort of the package, but what's in it is rationale, an explanation of why it's important, including some of the information.
And what we're doing here, like how many, how busy these ladies are.
Right, yeah.
I mean, the numbers are amazing that you put down, it's amazing.
I was surprised to see them myself.
It adds up.
They're getting bigger.
When you really put a number on it.
So Gordon, what should you do about Tom? Do you want Tom?
Well, given the date that we discussed at our meeting the other night, he said he'd be willing to come to that, so.
What meeting now is it?
So we're going to loop him into our
Advisory-
subcommittee.
Oh, okay,
on the
okay.
Advisory planning, but,
Okay.
if you come up with a date that you want your committee to meet, which I don't want anyway, I'm sure we can get Tom to come to that also. So I think the more exposure he gets to what
Yeah.
the effort is,
Okay.
Right.
the big effort I'm talking about
Yeah.
now, and I think he'll be helpful to kind of make suggestions as to how, maybe we can proceed. Any ideas help us be successful, or we deny them.
I'm sort of going to segue, based on our conversation on the advisory subcommittee, into old business, new business, because the first option here is the steering committee suggestion. So we do want to try to flesh out, I think, a core group in the community that will act as the quote-unquote steering committee for the livable Scituate, age-friendly Scituate campaign. I'm not quite sure how to do that or who to engage or invite, but we want to get some talking points together, i.e. back to what Maud and Caitlin are working on, and then try to zero in on some key players in the community to be able to knock on their door and say, this is our effort, we want to tell you what we're doing, and we'd be happy to have you on board.
I think if anyone has suggestions, that's a good place to start. I have some people in mind, I have, so I would like to think about how many and,
Right.
different, just different areas to include, whether it's some municipal, some community,
Right.
some just some good people that may know other people.
Yep.
Some older, some younger. So I do have some suggestions, but maybe.
Well, we can pick up the conversation some other time, but we want to try to begin to have that
I don't know if we
conversation.
throw them all out or just make a list or see if anybody has already tried this. We want to surprise them by saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
We won't mention
maybe I
names.
should ask them
Yeah.
first.
We won't mention names,
Yeah.
yeah.
Circulate all this amongst us.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
An email, and people can make suggestions.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I sort of started that, so we could throw it out to everybody, so I can
Right. And I
update
think
it
we
and
talked a
send it
little
out.
bit too at our meeting about, we don't want it to be a huge group, and we don't want, so to think about a steering committee, but also to keep in mind that there are people who may not be on that steering committee, but could want to be involved, and there are lots of ways that they can be involved.
Once we
in
initiate
working
it.
groups or, subgroups and things like that, so just kind of to be thinking about who those folks should be at the higher level.
Okay. Any other discussion on that at the moment? I know, because I saw the email also, that the Scituate Education Foundation is is opening up a new grant, annual grant timeframe, March, I think March.
The end of
March?
It's
March 1st to the
31st.
31st. And I noticed you put down, does anyone have any suggestions? So we need to think about that.
Ken, my own thoughts even last time had been something geared towards lifelong learning, and it isn't really that we need a lot of money for that. Any money, seed money, would be maybe to be able to pay facilitators to provide those classes more than we have now. I mean, at this point, we charge $20 for a local history class, and the speaker, the instructor, leader, they love him, and there's no end to the subjects he seems to be able to talk about and provide. So he's a one-man show, but it would be nice to broaden that a little bit. So I'm not sure if that's an appropriate grant application, but in how we, for the Education Foundation, I think they want more that might be intergenerational, multi-generational, so that could lend itself, but not necessarily. And then funny enough, the other thing someone else did this year, they did the ukuleles for the middle school. And I would love to do that for here, but again, not sure if
That's right, they were granted
Yeah.
funding to buy ukuleles, right?
So there are
For the middle
programs
school.
through South
For-
Shore
for
Conservatory, but anyway, so those are a couple of ideas I had or have. But if anybody has other thoughts for grants or for programs that they think might be appealing.
Some thoughts along that line.
I probably do have some thoughts, but
Yeah.
this is the first I'm hearing of it, so I have to,
It's,
yeah.
the grant I have currently is almost $3,000 for the iPads and the training for the most part. And then we're looping in the high school kids, there's no cost to that.
Right, but their interest is.
Well, they are an education foundation,
Right.
which generally, and
And they're new in town, but
They're-
they're working on annual fundraisers, they've got a pot of money and they want a grant, and last year they granted, correct me if I'm wrong, 30 some odd applications for $160 some odd, and they still left 15 on the table because they didn't have enough money to grant them, to help things like buying iPads for senior training or the ukuleles that Linda just mentioned, so.
ordinarily, most of the, if not all of the grant recipients are educators. And usually it's through the schools and for the kids, but they are happy that they're sort of broadening their scope and including us, and I'm not sure, there may be other organizations that have submitted as well. So it is nice. It's a nice collaboration.
Is there any way to tie high school artwork through an application?
Could. Anything's possible.
Define a set of parameters around a subject matter or a theme, and then encourage the high schoolers to do something through
Hold on,
the
but-
Council on Aging?
Yeah, I mean, age is a theme in art.
Yeah.
But anyway, I can think about it, if you want to send me.
Or
the-
how about livable Scituate as a theme?
Well, I know there's a number, I mean, within the whole age-friendly network, there's all kinds of intergenerational programs. I mean, I could imagine going through other communities, what they've done with their, in terms of intergenerational programming and kind of harvesting some good ideas that might be.
So that might start a conversation and some thoughts on.
Well, I also, it would be in a way to natural to engage that group.
Yeah.
It would be nice to reinforce something either we have wanted to do or need, or
Yeah.
Right,
would benefit
Yeah.
the other long-term goals.
Yeah,
right,
so that might be something to chew on
Thanks, yeah.
at some point.
yeah.
Okay. Does anybody else have any other business to raise? Issues?
I want to
Gordon.
ask about the the Public Building Committee. It was my understanding that an alternate would be appointed, as well as Linda and yourself, and that was not done.
I'm not
Should
sure,
we submit for an alternate?
I don't, my understanding was that they limited it to 2 people, and it's a public meeting, so anyone is welcome to attend. My thinking on the side was, you know, for example, if I'm unable to attend, I'm gonna certainly contact you and ask you to attend,
I would have
but
to.
it's a non-voting situation.
I believe it.
It was from my understanding, because that was, happened to meet with the selectman yesterday. And she said, that was a misstep on our part. She said, because you should have the option of a voting alternate. So if either one of you cannot be there, you will still have 2 votes on that committee.
I asked and was told it's in the bylaws, and actually she was supposed to send me the bylaws, and I didn't see them yet. That's not, if you can't come, you're not there. That's what I was told last week.
If you like.
If one of the appointees can't come, then you're simply not there.
I know he's not there. Did you
There's
lose
not
your
an
vote?
alternate, you lose your vote. If there was, if there was a meeting, I mean, hopefully that wouldn't happen, and there's no reason to think that between the 2 of us, we wouldn't be there, but there was not a,
I was
an
told that
opportunity.
there was an alternate with voting privileges on the public safety contracts
Nice.
project.
Okay,
So if they got it, I think we're gonna have it.
well, we can look into it and yeah, I
did.
can't say as I know, yeah.
So
I know she asked the
unfortunately,
question.
I did think, I just assumed, and that was my fault, that, you know, if JD as chair couldn't make it, then the vice chair could step in and be that, but that wasn't the case. We're named, we're on it, and though others are invited to be at that meeting, not at the table and not voting, and even if we weren't there, we're the ones appointed, and so there's not another name that's accepted at the table. That's what I was told. So I
Well,
apologize,
they're
that is
gonna,
what
they're
I,
gonna clarify that, right?
pardon me?
I said, the selectmen's gonna clarify
I
that.
don't think they need to, I mean, we
But I
were-
thought I just heard a difference from,
We're hearing 2 different stories. I heard something different.
Well,
than I
right.
did.
Okay,
Town Hall is, I mean,
I'm
Town Hall is
right.
going through the process of asking us to do the same kind of protocol that we would do, that we all did prior to joining Council on Aging Board, which is the ethics and the workplace.
That's not my point. My point is that I think it is huge missed opportunity if at some day, some night, there's a vote taken and we only have 1 representative there who can vote. I think that is,
I think the assumption is we wouldn't let that happen. We wouldn't let that
I also think it
he gets sick. What are you
communicates
gonna
that
do?
we're expecting the
What do you mean?
same
How
Well,
can
then
you
I'll
pre-
be there.
how
all
can you
the other
prevent that from
buildings have
happening?
gotten.
Are 2 of us going?
Well,
I don't know.
No, I'm saying,
Maybe
we
they
need,
would.
we need 2 votes on that committee.
Yeah.
He's sick. We have 1 vote.
Okay.
Shouldn't there be an alternate on record? I mean, so we lose the vote, I know what you're saying.
yeah,
I understand what you're
right.
saying.
I mean, all we're saying is, from Town Hall, this is the answer that we got.
I'm sorry, I don't have the bylaws, but she did say
So
that
we
was
can,
what
we
was
can
in the
try to
bylaws.
flesh it out, we can try
Who
to
said it?
appeal it,
Who said it?
Lorraine, who works for the Board of Selectmen.
but that was the answer that we got, so,
Look into it further.
okay?
Okay.
I mean, our goal here is that we wanna have 2 votes,
Right.
right? So-
Which we have, so I
But-
don't know, to have a fallback, I
whatever you
guess,
click,
but
yeah.
I don't understand what others may have done or what we should, I don't know.
I think that should be clarified.
Right.
Clarify, okay. Anybody else have any questions?
Maybe it's something that has to be done ahead of time. Can't like, oh, well, we're gonna put this person in for the vote at the last minute, maybe that's what she's saying.
Well, we'll get a clear answer and response. Anybody else have any other issues, news,
I
et
have
cetera?
just a question.
Carol?
The parade float meeting that you refer to in your notes, did you want a presence of the FOS members at that meeting?
Yes, I have 2 people who told me they might, or they said that they wanted to be involved, so I would email them, but yeah, Pauline's one of them, so there she is. But yes, yeah, we could put it out to your group if we wanted. I just need to decide which of those days I'm going to do, Wednesday or Thursday. Anybody care? It's Wednesday or Thursday afternoon. I guess I don't really, I have to leave more quickly on Wednesday than I do on Thursday, so, myself.
Any other business?
No.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn our first meeting of 2018?
And
Do I hear a second? Meeting adjourned.
Okay? Not bad.